Hi, Aquarius. Welcome to your love and relationship reading for the month of July. For those of you who are just now tuning in, these are generalized readings, so not everything in the reading may pertain to you. I am available to answer any questions as well as to do private readings and can be reached at mantraflowtarot@gmail.com. I like to start off with a reading for my singles, and then I move into a reading for my couples. Okay, so Aquarius, it looks like you are in a situation. This could indicate that you have recently even perhaps started seeing someone. Where you're at right now is we have the King of Crystals, which indicates, that there's a lot more to you what meets the eye, so to speak. I think people are surprised at how deep you are. I'm not saying that you don't look like a deep person, but the depth you have within is pretty profound. And I think that we have the Ace of Swords, so I think that you've kind of had this enlightening, so to speak, this manifestation of a new direction, something that has inspired you to move forward in a way that you haven't necessarily done before. We have the Strength card, and I think that, that in regards to you, I think that you're somebody who, is relatively private, and sometimes it's hard to expose those inner vulnerabilities to somebody else. And so I think that essentially that's what this is. This is an expression of oneself, you really getting close with someone. Now, what we have here is we have a Five of Swords. I think that you are currently seeing somebody, or talking to somebody, so to speak. Okay, this is something that is extremely new. I don't think things have necessarily been easy between you two, the type of dynamic that's going on between you. However, I do feel like you guys have found a common ground. And I think that, this epiphany, this light going off in your head has to do with, the direction that this relationship, this dynamic between you is taking, that you guys have found a common ground. And I think that's really intriguing to you. It looks like this person could be a fire sign. We have the Queen of Wands here. So I think that, this person, has this very fiery character. You have the extremes, the highs, the lows. This person is extremely passionate. But I think that what really touches you about this individual is this tenderness that he or she has within, this softness. And I think that, this also touches on, this light going off within your head, so to speak, something that really inspires you. Now, your aspirations has to do with the Two of Crystals, and I think that you are going back and forth kind of, I think part of you really wants to move forward with this relationship, but then the other part of you, I think, is struggling on keeping these feelings, within, do I expose these inner vulnerabilities or do I not? And I think that, ultimately that's really essentially where you're at. Now, you in the environment of the future is the Eight of Wands. I think that, there's a side of you that is very stubborn. This is also you standing your ground. We have this fire sign, and I think that, when we're dealing with a fire sign, that it's very easy for these individuals with these strong personalities to sort of run the show, so to speak. And this is you standing in your ground, within your strength, and saying, things can be a balance, so to speak. But what really intrigues me about this relationship, and I think that, it really touches on it in regards to the outcome, is we have the Ace of Cups here, which touches on, this bubbling cup. Your cup runneth over, so to speak, bubbling with emotion and opportunities for, this relationship to really grow and thrive. And I think that, you might have had a rocky start and you're kind of feeling your way through, how to execute this relationship, in regards to being true to yourself and standing your ground at the same time and, pulling everything together to make it work. It's overwhelming, but I think ultimately you guys are going to find your space and it will essentially move forward. So with that said, I am going to move forward with the reading for my couples. think July so far is going to be a really good month for love. It seems like so far everything has been extremely positive. There's been some bumps in the road, but overall I think things are looking pretty good for all my friends. So what you're bringing into this relationship is we have the Akashic Records, which has to do with you really coming full circle with life. The space that you're in is very healthy, very strong. You're being very authentic to yourself, and also being very authentic to others. I think that, if there was ever a time to pursue or move forward with a relationship, it's now, because I think that ultimately where you're at right now is one of the best versions of yourself that you could ever have. That your depth of understanding, understanding within yourself and understanding with others. You're just a beacon of light right now, so to speak. The next card is the Two of Crystals, and this is where you are now in regards to your partner. Excuse me, this is what you're bringing into your relationship, and this is where you are now in regards to your partner. I think that you're going back and forth with how to execute, how to find balance as far as your material world and your emotional, and them really coming full stream and coming in together, so to speak. You working towards finding that harmony again. Good, wonderful, solid space, because you understand, and this is the magician, this is what you're hoping to get from this relationship, being the magician, that you have the power to make your life what you want, by working with the elements that you have around you, what you have within you, but also understanding that everything is one, so to speak, and trusting in the divine, that the divine has a path for you. Okay, so we have this wonderful state of just figuring out how to make things work, but also trusting in the divine that things ultimately will, because not only do you have the support of the divine, you have the power within yourself as well. Now, what your partner is bringing into this relationship is the Empress. You both are in very solid spaces of your life. Your partner has a tendency to make decisions based on feeling and feeling alone. This person makes decisions based from their heart and not so much logic. This person create spirit into matter, and I think that you two coming together, this is a union that's very passionate. Now, where your partner is now in regards to this relationship is the Five of Wands. I think that right now this person might be this can indicate that there is some conflict that's going on, between you. But this could just be, I'm looking at the rest of the cards. This isn't something that's detrimental to this relationship. This is just, one of the peaks and valleys. How we all go through peaks and valleys within relationships. I think that this is just, some of the bumps in the road that all of us ultimately experience, when we're in a relationship. Because ultimately, this person has hope. What they're hoping to get from this relationship is the Nine of Cups, and that's essentially, moving forward. Now, how you see your partner, this is very interesting, is the Oppression card, and this could indicate a feeling of being stuck. This could also indicate, this touches on the strong lust that you have. But there's a situation that's going on that you're trying to figure out how to handle. And the more I think about it, I think that it's in regards to the Two of Crystals and the Five of Wands, this conflict, and trying to figure out how to move forward from it. Now, how your partner sees you is the Emperor. This is like a driving force in your life, somebody that's guiding. I think that you have a tendency to take the upper hand. You're the dominant partner, so to speak, in this relationship, and you're really trying to guide. And I don't think that your partner is necessarily being open to it. I think that, maybe right now this Five of Wands is in regards to a situation of, stubbornness, not budging. We have these two strong personalities, and I think that you're just trying to figure out which way to go. The overall outcome is the Knight of Wands. This has to do with really taking and addressing these problems head on if you're going to move forward. I think that this also touches on, things getting heated before they get better. But I definitely see this relationship working out. Ultimately, I think that you guys are both in a space where your intentions are good. You just need to figure out a way to execute and move forward. One thing I want to touch on in regards to the Knight of Wands, this has to do with these passions getting the best of you. So before things get too escalated or too heavy, you really want to make a point to think about how you move forward, maybe doing things in a gentle manner and not so much in an aggressive, however you want it to also be effective. So I think that a very honest talk needs to happen, so you're able to lay out your wants, needs, and expectations. That way you really build that solid foundation so that the relationship can move forward, which essentially I really think it will. I think that this is just a bump in the road that you're going on, or you're going through, so to speak. So if you have any questions, please feel free to email me at montreflotarot@gmail.com. Thanks, you guys.